Much, Mr. Chairman. Today's hearing covers three items, and I'd like to start with H.R. 842, the Protecting the Right to Organize Act, which, if signed into law, would be the single biggest change to our labor laws in 80 years. The majority is selling H.R. 842 as an update to the National Labor Relations Act, but it's more accurate to call it a union boss wish list. At every turn, the bill prioritizes union bosses over workers and businesses, and at every turn, it stacks the deck in favor of unionization. Before I continue, I want to be clear that I support the right of employees to join together to form a union if they so choose. What I am not supportive of is allowing for tactics of intimidation, placing a thumb on the scale to prioritize the interests of union bosses over the interests of employees who choose not to form a union, and overturning the laws in 27 states who do not force unionization as a condition of employment. Consider just some of the provisions in this bill. H.R. 842 removes protections for workers who choose not to share personally identifying information with union representatives. It also imposes a nationwide so-called card check scheme that would force a workplace to unionize upon receiving signed cards from 50% of employees without a secret ballot. Without personal protections and without a secret ballot, these two provisions make it all the more likely that workers will be harassed at home and at work until they agree to sign a unionization card, whether they truly want to or not. But the bill doesn't stop there. It preempts every single state right-to-work law, which protect workers from being required to become members of a labor organization or to pay fees to one. 27 states, including my own home state of Oklahoma, have such a law. The bill also changes the joint employer standard, overturning a decision of the National Labor Relations Board and making millions of employees as franchisees nationwide subject to this standard. And it reimposes an Obama-era rule allowing for the creation of micro-unions, which would allow a unit smaller than a workplace to unionize. At every turn, this bill prioritizes union bosses over workers. I think the House should take a long, hard look at the ramifications of this bill before voting on it, and I think the majority should rethink this scheme. Our other two items concern background checks for those seeking to purchase or transfer a firearm. H.R. 8 would impose new requirements for a background check anytime a gun owner wishes to purchase or transfer a firearm, and would effectively criminalize gun transfers or sales without government permission. H.R. 1446 imposes similar restrictions. It's aimed at expanding background checks and would accomplish that goal by changing the existing 3-day background check period to a period of 10 days. But if that background check is not completed within 10 business days, the person wishing to purchase a firearm must file an appeal, which can then take up to another 10 business days to process. This will inevitably have the effect of interminably delaying a person from buying a firearm. Mr. Chairman, the net effect of both these bills is only to deprive law-abiding citizens from exercising their Second Amendment rights while doing little to prevent mass shootings or to prevent those who should not possess firearms from purchasing them. While Republicans are not opposed to screening prospective gun owners, it's important to note that the federal law already covers many of the concerns these bills are intended to address. There are already limits in federal law making it illegal to transfer firearms to individuals barred from possession, and it is likewise illegal to purchase a firearm for someone who cannot legally have it. Nothing in these bills would prevent wrongdoers from acquiring firearms. Republicans have proposed legislation to prevent mass shootings. During the 115th Congress, Republicans passed into law the Fix NICS Act, which ensured that the NICS system used for evaluating potential firearm purchases has up-to-date and accurate records. Last Congress, Republicans proposed the Mass Violence Prevention Act, which would create a mass violence prevention center within the Department of Justice, but Democrats blocked it from coming to the floor. These proposals represent real solutions to the problem H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446 are intended to address. That Republican proposals would do so while respecting the rights of law-abiding gun owners and ensuring that wrongdoers cannot acquire firearms. I would urge the majority to rethink their present path. There are alternative solutions out there. We need not embrace the draconian proposals of H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446. Rather, if we work together, we can come up with real bipartisan results for the American people. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you very much. The gentleman yields